Take a look at this image of a stick dinner. Looks really nice, doesn't it? Now, what if I told you that the process which brought this steak from the animal's plate is actually more harmful to the planet than all the SUVs driving right now on our roads? Pretty hard to believe, isn't it? At the time, when I heard this at first, I too did not believe it. It seemed impossible, but having done some extensive research on the subject, I have discovered some very interesting information, which I hope to share with you today. The truth of the matter is, the meat industry is a major pollutant for us all. And the reason I've decided to discuss this topic is because as we all live on this planet, pollution in general should be a concern for us all. But according to my student survey, 72% of those who responded had little to no knowledge of meat industry pollution. Yet 100% of them replied that they ate meat, with 63% stating that they ate meat every single day. Thus, I'm hoping that today I'll be able to convince you and show you that meat industry pollution is a major problem for our country, and that you will all be able to take steps, and will be convinced to take steps to curb that problem. I will do this by first explaining the problem, showing its magnitude and negative effects, some of the causes which come from this problem, and the solutions we can all take to curb this problem. Let's begin with discussing this problem. According to an article by Megan Taffy titled "Livestock, a Major Threat to the Environment," published for the Food and Agricultural Organization of the UN, livestock produces 65% of the nitrous oxide gases on our planet. Now, these gases usually are invisible to the naked eye, thus they are very hard to see on a daily basis. There is no smog or smoke like in China where you can actually see the pollution. But these gases actually are 296 times better at capturing and keeping heat on our planet. A major problem for global warming. But what about on a more local level? Now, this information I found from an article by Rennie Cho titled "How Hamburgers Pollute Our Water," published for the State of the Planet online magazine for Columbia University. In it, she describes that the meat industry in general produces 300 million tons of waste a year. It is twice the amount of the entire U.S. population. But unlike the U.S. population, the waste is not processed. It is kept in giant lagoons. Next slide, please. Such as these. On the left, I have a picture of an average manure lagoon. As you can see, it is huge. Now, the problem comes when these lagoons leak, or in some cases completely fail and spill out, as this picture shows right here. A horrific spill. Now, the problem with that, obviously, is that this waste has in it many microorganisms, hormones, antibiotics, and heavy metals, which produce and feed algae blooms in the water. They create dead zones in our rivers and lakes and in the Gulf of Mexico. And then they get into our drinking water. Many times, these problems, these microorganisms and pollutants, aren't always processed, creating various health problems such as E. coli or cholera. Another interesting problem, health problem, which I personally suffer from, is baby blue syndrome, blue baby syndrome, a birth defect in which the child gets only half of the normal blood oxygen that a healthy child would get, which needs then extensive surgery to correct the problem, which I also went through. You might be wondering, though, why would this problem occur? That is why I'm now moving to the causes. And the three major causes, seriously, are practices by farmers, lack of regulation, and the carnivorous appetites of the American culture. Now, many of you would think, when you think of a farm, I'm sure many of you picture pig. A nice farmhouse with many green pastures around it, animals frolicking around, living peacefully and happily. Well, unfortunately, in the modern times, that is not the case. Most meat farms actually look like this. Massive acres upon acres of animals kept in tiny pens where they are forced to live, sleep, and eat in their own waste most of the time, which accumulates and is then shoveled into said lagoons. This is necessary, they farmers state, to keep up with the demand of our meat-eating culture, and because it is cost-effective. Which brings us to our next problem, the lack of regulations. You would think that our state and federal governments would actually want to combat this issue, but the fact of the matter is, as explained by an article by Claire Sudat titled "The Problem with Factory Farms" for Time magazine, is that meat-producing states, or states where the meat industry plays a major role in their economies, they are more lenient towards these farms than states which don't have a major meat-producing industry. Because in their opinion, if they put more regulations, these farmers will run away. They'll leave their states, go to the other ones, which have looser regulations, and work over there. Thus, they try to keep these farmers as happy as possible by doing as little as possible to combat their practices. And finally, we come to our meat-eating culture. In a report published by the United Nations in 2010, it stated that the United States is the third largest consumer of meat in the world. Next slide, please. As indicated by these charts, as you can see, we are the largest beef consumer, and we are third behind Australia and a few of the South American countries. Problem is, we love meat. As my student survey indicated, many people here eat meat. Research I have done, taken from the PPP polls, indicated that more than 80% of all Americans eat meat. Thus, because we want to eat meat, the farmers will continue to do what they do, continue to pollute the way they do, so that they can fill our demand. And honestly, most of this meat in the end is not very healthy anyway. But now let's think about some solutions. The first solution, obviously, would be to contact our officials and tell them that they should take action. Next slide, please. Here I've provided the contact information for Senator Bill Nelson and Marco Rubio. You can also find your local state senator in our state capital by going online to our capital website, typing in your zip code, which they will tell you which district you belong in and who represents you. By telling them that we would like a more safer and healthier meat industry, we can curb practices produced by these companies. And because we will show as voters that we care and we want these companies to change, our representatives will hopefully do what we want because their jobs will be on the line. Thus, I encourage everyone to contact their states and national representatives to discuss this issue. And another, and I guess the most...
Go to your conclusion.
In conclusion, if we don't take steps to curb meat industry pollution, our planet and our nation will continue to suffer as our temperatures change, our food gets unhealthier, and our water becomes more dirtier. Algae blooms will probably continue, we'll have more sicknesses, and things will not be very nice all around. Thus, I encourage everyone to take steps such as contacting your senator and also changing your diet to curb this problem so that we can continue to live on a healthy planet with a healthy diet. Thank you.